welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about a topic that I said a few videos ago that I would cover, and that's going to be the cover letter and CV for getting a job in Japan.
Come and fly away with me. Come and fly away.
This is a big one. I'm really excited to share this with you. I wrote so many cover letters and edited my CV/resume depending on where in the world you're from during my application time. This is the duo that I got the job with. If it's helpful, then that's good. That's kind of all I really want to do here, is shed a little light on some of the steps that you might find useful. When I was starting this journey, sorry, I'm looking at the viewfinder. When I was starting this journey, I was considering doing the JET program first of all. To apply for the JET program, you have to submit something called your statement of purpose, I believe it's called, and I found it really useful to watch some YouTube videos about that. This kind of had the same thing going on. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful and you find this video informative. I went to the beach yesterday and I got so sunburned. You fool! I did everything I could not to get sunburned. It is Auckland anniversary weekend and I can't go out and do anything because I don't want to get more sun on me because I'm terrified. So instead of being out and sociable and enjoying the beautiful Kiwi summer, I've just been inside watching Raw Beauty Christie. That kind of made me want to put on makeup. So I felt silly wearing a full face of makeup without any kind of reason. So I just thought I'd make a video. My hair is also saltwater hair. It is not behaving. Anyway, I've got my laptop. Oh, I keep looking at the viewfinder and not the camera. Absolute disaster. I went through Gaijin Pot. That was the job sourcing website that I used, and I did not have to upload a separate CV and cover letter every single time that I applied for a job. My profile had these on there. I could do minor tweaks, and I did do tweaks, like I didn't just copy and paste, but because they were already on there saved, I only needed to add a few sentences or whatever to each job application to make it unique to that job. Definitely have the base of it sort of covered already, and then just personalize it every now and then based on what you need to do to get that job. This is on purpose. This isn't an accident, just in case you're thinking, wow, careful, real dinosaur fossil. No big deal. It's a huge deal. Why am I like this? Okay, let's go through the CV first. So CV stands for curriculum vitae, which is obviously French or something. I don't know what it translates to. I think in America you guys use the term resume, which is probably French as well because every word in English was stolen. White people facts. I'm not going to show you it when I read it out because I don't really want you to be able to like copy it word for word, but this is the look of it. So CV, you would have seen that it had, I might put like a little insert as well, a picture of me in the top corner. They like to see a photo of you. You just got to do what you got to do, really. This is the way they do things. You got to adapt. Okay, so you got your photo, and then I have my full name. I have my phone number with the international code on it. So in New Zealand, it's +64. So if I was telling my friends in New Zealand my number, I'd say like 021. International code, we would drop the O and add +64. So I've got that on there, as well as my email address. And then I have a short blurb about myself, and then I have a work experience section, and then I have an education section. So this is what it says. This is a short blurb. In a way, it's almost like a synopsis of my cover letter. I've had to hire people through jobs and stuff. In my opinion and in my experience, the CV gets read first because you're not going to bother reading someone's cover letter if they don't meet the bare minimum requirements. I always include like a little blurb about myself at the top of my CV. It's there as a little way for me to control the tone through which they're reading all of my experience. Education and creativity have always been the pillars of any of my pursuits. I am passionate about learning and believe that a creative approach to all communications, teaching / personal / and otherwise, commas probably would have been better there, Sarah, can create the most fruitful environments. I have thoroughly pursued my creative career through a history of fine arts, design and floristry. However, as the years progress, I find myself leaning more and more towards education. My objective going forward to 2020 is to transition into the education field, ideally within the early childhood age group in Japan. I believe that I would find such a position to be unbelievably rewarding and that any challenges faced would make the experience that much richer. you know, I've pursued the creative work. And I really have, and I need this change. I mean, in my opinion, I'm trying to, and hopefully successfully, removing any doubt that I'm not ready for this and that my you know, head's not in the game. So I'm hoping that that is what they got out of that. It seemed to have worked one way or the other. I mentioned creativity because I'm not going to lie. Creativity is the backbone of everything I do. Creativity is everything. Sometimes that means, you know, your classic painting. Sometimes it just means my thought patterns. It's telling them what they're getting. So they don't have to read between the lines. I'm telling them, this is what I am, this is who I am, this is how I work. Whether or not they care about that when I'm actually on the job, so be it. But at least from my point of view and my peace of mind, I've done my best. I've been as straightforward as I can. And then I have the experience section. This is what it says. I'm going to run you through all of this. You're going to know all my work history. You're welcome. Receptionist, the place I work, 2018 to present. In 2018, I pursued a part-time position whilst also running my own company. I am now the receptionist at blah blah blah. As my colleagues are Korean immigrants, one of my main responsibilities is editing their written work and being the company's voice. As well as taking charge of all communications, I am responsible for teaching our procedures to all new staff members. Now, there's so much more to my job than that, but that's relevant. You know, I'm working with people whose second language is English whenever I'm at work. And I do teach new procedures. I have to, any new staff, any new clinicians we get in, I have to run through everything with them. I mean, it kind of goes without saying, but if I, looking at my older CVs from like, you know, 2009 and stuff, so different, because I thought I had to include everything. It was like quantity over quality. Whereas, yeah, I really only need to share key points. Director and florist at Print and Petal, 2015 to present. Print and Petal is my floristry company. As the company director, I have a long list of responsibilities. However, I began the business as it encompasses several of my greatest passions. These are creativity, celebration, and education. As my career has developed, I have transitioned into a teaching role and now educate fellow Auckland creatives on the art of floristry. And that's true. Once again, it is doesn't even cover an eighth of what I do. But yeah, I teach floristry to clients, a lot of hens do. That's kind of one of my main teaching gigs, pretty much. When it comes to your CV, you get to choose what you share so that they get to see the version of you and why you're good for the job. Retail manager, SPCA Three Kings Op Shop, 2016 to 2017. I hated that job. Aside from standard retail operations, my priorities included extensive health and safety management and training the volunteers. As a charity, we employed staff on a volunteer basis, the majority of whom did not speak English. I was solely responsible for effectively communicating our procedures, legal obligations, and ensuring the staff was learning enough on the job to communicate with customers. Once again, accurate and doesn't cover even like a tenth of the amount of things we had to do in that job. Student teacher, Northcote College, school years 9 through to 13. Although not formal employment, I have included it as the work experience is relevant to my pursuits. I developed a minimum of 3 lesson plans per day, created or sourced my own visual aids, taught a minimum of 20 students per period, brackets 1 hour per period, and worked with my mentors to moderate assignments and give feedback. And then I've got my education listed. And actually, before I move on to education, I want to point out there's probably about 6 part-time jobs throughout my life that I didn't include in that because none of them were relevant. Education. National Certificate in Floristry Level 4, 2014 with the name of the institution, and I wrote competency-based course because it was a pass or fail, it wasn't graded. And then National Certificate in Floristry Level 2, institution's name, competency-based course. Graduate Diploma in Teaching Secondary Education, 2013, University of Auckland, my average grade, and then I've got it on hold to say I didn't complete it. I've got Bachelor of Visual Arts, AUT, A average, class of 2012. And then I've got Onehunga High School, class of 2009, and then I've got a list of all the achievements in there. Class of 2009, NCA Level 3 Excellence endorsed, recipient of the Senior English Cup, recipient of the BNZ Young Writers Award for Creative Writing, recipient of the Fine Arts sponsorship from the Ara Lodge, peer support leader, student representative on the Board of Trustees, English and French tutor to junior students. All of that, not all of it's actually relevant looking at it. They probably didn't need to know a lot of that stuff. I wasn't really part of any clubs or anything. Like, clubs seem to be huge in Japan. They weren't really big here in New Zealand. My grades were my main, the curriculum was my main interest. I wasn't really interested in joining clubs like the, I don't know, like Glee Club, AV Club. Like, we don't really seem to have that all here. The way that America and evidently Japan does. I put those down to, yeah, really sort of show where my time went, and you should do the same. The creativity aspect, I should point out, is actually relevant to the job that I ended up taking. They wanted it as a creative based teaching program. That was my CV. Let's get to the cover letter. Ooh. So I'm just going to straight read it, and then we'll talk more about it. So, to whom it may concern, I have seen your advertisements for the position of ESL teacher and would be honoured to apply. I believe I am a suitable candidate and that my career profile and objectives match your requirements. I am about to begin my TEFL education, which aligns with a desired start date of April 2020. This, along with my bachelor's degree in fine arts and partial postgraduate diploma in secondary school education, leads me to believe I can make an excellent contribution to your teaching staff. Having read your job description, it is apparent that you need teachers that are not only passionate about education but can provide such through creative strategies and open-minded, flexible execution. The last 10 years of my combined university and professional life have all had in common the two fundamental pillars of education and creativity. English, especially writing and presentation, are two things I observe with deep interest and would love to pass these interests down to the next generation. I have a warm, bubbly disposition with an approach of encouragement to all classes. Conversely, however, I am also confident in a position of authority and believe that structure and organisation are very much a requirement in life. I have demonstrated in past positions my ability to assess potential accurately in both students and colleagues, tailor lessons to achieve desired goals, and maintain written records of assessments and performances. Furthermore, as the director of my own company for the past 4 years, I am confident in juggling many hats and actively undertaking any position required of me for the good of the team and or desired goals set. Above all, I am really just a hard-working, excited, passionate person who loves life and thinks that a huge contributing factor to this is to have interests that motivate, something I'd love to instill in your students. On that note, I would like the opportunity to be interviewed in order to discuss my qualifications in detail. I can Skype, FaceTime or email at any time that is convenient to your schedule. I can be reached at and will be delighted to provide you with any additional information. Thank you for your time and consideration for this position. Best regards, Sarah Hares, followed by my email address. So formal, right? Running through that, I broke it up into paragraphs. It's titled Sarah Hares cover letter, the name of the job. So the job that I ended up clicking on was early childhood / kindergarten teacher. So I titled it To Whom It May Concern. If you have their name, use their name. I have seen your advertisement for the position of ESL teacher. That's because that's generally what I was going for, but I could have written, I have seen your advertisements for the position of early childhood English as a second language teacher via Gaijinpot or something, to like really personalize it so that they know that I've actually read the job description, because they put a lot of effort into that and they need to know that I actually care. I'm about to begin my TEFL education. I didn't actually do that because they told me not to bother, but yeah, that was the intention. I'm about to begin my TEFL education, which aligns with a desired start date of April 2020. I wasn't interested in starting earlier, didn't want to waste their time. I recommend you do the same thing. This, along with my, I said Bachelor of Fine Arts. I have a bad habit of doing that as visual arts, but whatever, they don't care. And partial postgraduate blah 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 lead me to believe I can make an excellent contribution to your teaching staff. So that's just in that first paragraph. I have told them that I understand what job I'm applying for and where I found the information. I've displayed that I'm confident that I'm a suitable candidate, that my intentions are to get a TEFL when I want to start. I've told them my qualifications. Yeah, so those are like some really key things that I really wanted them to take away from that. So that's what that first paragraph was about. And then this bit I would tailor. So having read your job description, it's apparent that you need teachers that are passionate can provide creative strategies, open-minded. This is where if they said requirements for the job with all these bullet points, it was like star, physically active, star, can drive, confident driver, energetic, good with children, or that sort of thing. So that's where you'd say that, you know, having read your job description, it is apparent that you need teachers that are excellent drivers. You know, you put that in and you're showing where you've read it, you recognize it, and yes, you are the one for it. I chose to say the last 10 years of my combined university and professional life have two fundamental pillars of education and creativity, because once again I was really insecure that they would think I wasn't qualified based on my lack of teaching career history, and then English, especially writing presentation, are two things I observe with deep interest. I'm pointing out the parts of the job that I'm interested in. Like, this is just your chance to point out the parts that make you unique and you stand out from the crowd. I have a warm, bubbly disposition and blah, blah, blah. I have an approach of encouragement. This is a kindergarten position. I really want to make sure that they know that I'm just happy to be whatever they need me to be for the kids. I also wanted them to know that I am not just a big pushover. I'm good in a position of authority. I mentioned that, you know, as the director of my own company, I'm confident wearing many hats. Now, that's another huge thing that lots of other recruiters throughout my interviewing time have advised me of, is that especially in the smaller businesses, not that I'm really going into a small company, but most of them, regardless of size, actually kind of want you to do everything. I mean, what employer wouldn't want to get the most for their money? So they want me to do as much as I can for them. They're going to want me to stay late. They're going to want me to help out if I have to go to meetings, if I have to run after school programs, if I have to do holiday events. That was just my way of saying I'm used to having to do it all, to be superwoman, that sort of thing. And that also comes from the fact that I, most likely like yourself, have done so much research on YouTube from people who have been in the position I will later become in, and I've been looking up to them, and they've all advised that they've just had to do so much. Pointed out I can Skype, FaceTime or email at any time, just that sort of thing. That's my CV and cover letter. I hope that was helpful. I would be open to checking out your CVs and your cover letters, I guess, if that's something that you would even want someone to do. But when I was 18, if I was applying for something like this, I would be so scared and so much more nervous than I am. And if you're in that position, then reach out. I would love to help you with this as much as I possibly could. Maybe we'd even be colleagues at the same company one day. That would be pretty cool. That's the cover letter, and it worked. So yeah, hopefully it's good. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Sorry that I spent the whole time playing with my hair and looking at the wrong part of the camera. If you liked this video, then please hit the like button below. Subscribe if you want to see similar videos. I'm going to try upload regularly because I find this really fun and it gives me an excuse to play with makeup. Next video, I'm going to talk about my fears for Japan and things that I'm really scared about. Japan. I'm gonna go.
Come